Hey guys, Tom here from the Investing with Tom YouTube channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, hit like, hit subscribe, and that way you can see future videos as well. Now, let's say that you've just found a stock, you've done all your research, it ticks all of the boxes for you, meets all of your investment criteria, and it's now time to start buying into that stock. Now, there are a few different strategies that people go through when they first purchase into a stock. Some people just buy their entire position straight away. If they want to put 10% of the portfolio into it, they just buy it in one day. Other people don't have the ability to buy it in one day. If you're someone like Warren Buffett putting billions of dollars to work, you generally have to buy it over a long period of time and kind of hope that the price stays about flat or maybe even goes down a little as you kind of go through that process. And other people, even as small investors, will still try and take that Buffett approach where you buy in slowly. And the main idea behind that is you're hoping that the price goes down as you continue to buy. And you can try to get a lower average price over time as that stock goes down and down and down and you continue to buy. And if you're right on the overall business and right on the eventual valuation for that company, then reducing your average price by buying in slowly over time can really improve your return. And that idea of reducing your cost basis is really one of the core concepts from Phil Town's book, Payback Time. I've made videos on this in the past, and I've made videos walking through the maths of how reducing your cost basis can really help. But this is an area where I have sort of evolved more recently, and I'm kind of in the process at the moment actually of sort of reviewing my strategy in this area. So I want to talk through the pros and cons to sort of buying everything at once versus slowly buying over time and trying to reduce your basis, and also give you some insights into how I personally am currently thinking through this process. Now, firstly, let's talk about the strategy of trying to buy in slowly over time and reduce your basis. Let's walk you through some of the maths behind that strategy when it works well, and also explain some of the potential drawbacks of that strategy as well. Now, let's say that hypothetically you've found a stock that you believe to have an intrinsic value of $100 per share. You've got a big 50% margin of safety, and you're looking to start buying it at around $50 per share. And let's say that that is where the current price for that stock sits, and you're now able to start buying into that position. Now, the first thing you have to decide if you're someone that wants to buy in slowly over a period of time is first figure out what you want to allocate in total to that position. So if you want it to eventually be a 10% stake in your portfolio, or a 5% stake, or a 20% stake, that's something that you have to decide before you even make your first initial purchase. Next step then is to convert that portfolio allocation into dollar terms and then figure out how many stages you want to buy this stock at. So let's just say hypothetically you want to put $10,000 into the stock and you want to buy that over 4 allocations. So you're going to end up putting in 4 purchase orders of $2,500 to get your total $10,000 kind of going into that stock. And the plan here is that you hope that the stock kind of slowly drifts down from 50 as you go through this process, and it allows you to get an average price that's actually lower than if you just put in your $10,000 all up front. Now, I will put some maths up on the screen here just showing this sort of hypothetical example and putting in some hypothetical prices for if we continue to average down in the stock. And at the bottom, I will put basically the before and after, I guess, if you'd kind of put $10,000 in right at $50 per share all at once, versus what would happen if you average down. And, you know, if we just assume that that stock eventually does go back up to $100 over the next few years, it hits our intrinsic value target, then you'll see that there are very significant differences in the rate of return between averaging down and between just putting your full $10,000 into that stock all at once. It can make a significant difference if you're able to execute this really well and if you're right on the business. Now, what I want to get across in this particular video is kind of talk through some of the possible downsides to implementing a strategy like this. Now, the first and most obvious downside is that the stock in this case goes down to $50 per share and it never goes any lower. Now, this is one of the more painful situations in terms of trying to get good returns in the stock market. You've done all this work, it's now time to buy into the position, and you just don't get a chance to buy enough. Before you know it, you made your first initial purchase at 50 and the stock has just run away and it's now trading at $60, $70, $80 per share already, and you really didn't get a chance to build build up a good stake in that business. Now, this is something I personally have experienced to not a huge extent, but to some extent at least, with a company recently, that being Sharesight Growth Properties. Now, if we take the Sharesight Growth Properties example, the stock during earlier this year crashed all the way down from $40 or $50 per share right down to about $5 per share, I think it was at the lows. We saw a 13F come out from Owners Per Buy. His average price was probably somewhere around $9 or $10 per share, somewhere in that range. I started buying around 12, and I didn't quite get to make it as big a position as I would have liked, although I did get a reasonable stake in the business, and I probably got it 2/3 to 3/4 as large as I wanted it. And before I know it, the price has now run up a lot, and it's trading at something like $18 or $19 a share today. So that's an example of where I actually didn't get to put in as much money as I would have hoped, and certainly didn't get to put in money at prices anywhere near what Owners Per Buy was able to do. So that's the first and most obvious risk, is you simply don't get to put as much money to work in that particular investment as you first might have hoped to do. The other risk, which I don't think many people actually talk about, is averaging down can potentially be a trap for you over time. Now, this is something I luckily haven't experienced yet, but I know plenty of investors who have, and it's basically this idea of averaging down all the way to zero, or averaging down so low that, you know, a stock never comes back up. Now, let's take the same example of the same company again. You think it's worth $100 a share. It's currently trading at 50, and you start purchasing in. Now, let's say that this stock goes all the way down to $25 a share. A lot of people, a lot of value investors that are in this mindset that this thing is worth 100 will continue to buy when it's at 25. And in a lot of cases, that may make complete sense. But I think the trap some people fall into is once they've done their initial analysis, they fail to continue thinking critically about the business. Potentially, they may have missed something in their initial analysis, or maybe something in the story has genuinely changed, which means the intrinsic value has actually gone down. And I think you've got to be cautious to try and decide whether you're getting an even better deal than you were before now that it's gone down to that $25 per share, or whether you simply made an error in your analysis. And that again is a huge trap for averaging down and reducing your cost basis. Now, if you're right, the maths earlier shows us that this is going to work out very, very well for you, but you've got to continue to think critically and make sure that you are genuinely right in your analysis as you continue to average down and average down and average down. And I also think it's important to make sure that you stick with your initial portfolio allocation that you decided before you even made your first purchase. If you wanted this to be a 10% bet, and you've slowly been buying it as the stock continues to go down and you've reached that 10% threshold, I think some people can fall into the trap of continuing to buy it if it goes down more, and eventually this turns into a 15 or 20 or 30% investment. And in a lot of cases, like I say, people fail to continue thinking critically and making sure that they are genuinely right on the business. Sometimes you are just wrong and you have to admit defeat. So it's certainly a trap and something that you have to watch out for with this kind of reducing basis type strategy. So how am I personally buying into stocks now? What is my particular strategy? Well, if I take you back a year ago, I'll give you kind of what I was doing at that time. Now, basically a year ago, I was doing the completely by the book kind of fill town, payback time type strategy. I was deciding on a portfolio allocation. Again, I figured out a dollar amount that I want to put into a particular investment. And basically, I was just dividing that dollar amount by 4. And I would have 4 purchases and kind of hope that it goes down over time. And towards the end of last year, I bought into 2 stocks, and basically one of them went up over time as I was trying to buy it, and one of them went down over time as I was trying to buy it, and it basically kind of cancelled each other out, cancelled out the benefits. So on the stock that went up, it went up a little bit, and I did actually continue to buy because I thought it was at a margin of safety, and like we spoke about earlier, I didn't want to miss that opportunity. And the other one went down, and I continued to buy, and I was kind of happy with that as well. So all in all, those are only 2 data points and 2 stocks, but it kind of averaged out with no kind of probably net benefit when you combine those 2 investments together versus just purchasing a full stake up front. So how am I personally implementing the strategy now, and how am I going to do it moving forward? Well, basically I'm trying to combine sort of the best of both worlds with these two strategies. So let me put it in the context of my wider portfolio. Now, for me personally, somewhere around a 20% allocation for one particular stock is getting towards the upper limit of what I tend to allocate. So I have been higher than that before, I've certainly been lower than that before, but if I have a really, really high conviction investment where I'm extremely confident in my analysis and in the valuation and so on, 20% is getting close to the upper limit of kind of what I would be willing to allocate at this point. So with that in mind, basically the way that I see myself making investments out into the future is I'm probably going to look to allocate, say, 10% initially. Let's say this is one of these really high conviction 20% bets. If it's a lower conviction idea, then, you know, scale these numbers back. But I'm probably going to look at putting, say, 10% into that stock initially. That's a good chunk of money for me, and it's going to allow me not to miss these stocks that do run up relatively quickly, because that does happen every now and then. And that, I think, has two benefits. Now, it gives me some breathing room for if the price does go down to allocate more to that investment. And one of the other things that I think a lot of people miss outside of the pure mathematics of kind of averaging up and averaging down and just buying all at once, outside of the mathematics of that, a lot of people miss the fact that you will never understand a business as well when you're first doing your initial analysis as when you own it. When you own a stock, something just changes, and it's much harder for you to kind of skimp over news, you know, to do with that company, and you just continue to understand that business better over time. So it gives me breathing room so that if the price does go down, and as I learn more and more about that business, I'm going to be more comfortable going towards a higher portfolio allocation. So it gives me kind of some breathing room. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. I used to do the classic fill town, you know, 4 kind of tranches to build an investment stake, but I have had a couple things run away on me, a couple things where it's worked well, and it's kind of all just evened out. So for me personally, I'm probably going to be reducing that down to 2 tranches to make my investments. And I'm really only going to be allocating that second chunk if the price does move down a lot, and if I continue to have a high level of conviction on my initial analysis. So that's all from me today, and I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I would certainly love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below on how you personally allocate money towards investments. Do you just buy it all up front? Do you average down over time? Do you buy more as you continue to understand more about the business and have a higher level of conviction about its future prospects and all that sort of stuff? I'd love to hear that down in the comments below, so feel free to let me know what's going on there, and I will make sure to respond to you as well. But that's all from me today, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.